In the year 2198, deep within the frozen shadows of Europa, a dying dragon lay hidden, his fire fading and his hope shattered, until a lonely child dared to break the silence. What began as a forbidden meeting soon became a bond strong enough to challenge two worlds, a friendship so rare it could change the future of humanity and dragons forever. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to the channel and like the video and tell us in the comments where are you watching from. Now, let's jump into the story. The year was 2198, and humanity had stretched its reach across moons and planets, building fragile outposts among the cold stars. On Europa, one of Jupiter's frozen moons, stood Research Station Aurora, a place dedicated to studying alien life and serving as sanctuary for species caught in the path of human expansion. Beneath the metallic corridors and glowing panels, hidden deep in a secure habitat chamber, lay a creature unlike any other. His name, once given in the songs of his people, was Kalorn. But to the scientists of Aurora, he was simply listed as Specimen 742. He was a dragon of the Drakari, a race known for their ability to sense gravitational currents, to feel the silent music of space. Most dragons had accepted life alongside humans, working as navigators on starships or helping in asteroid mining. But Kalorn was not like them. He was broken, both in body and spirit. 3 weeks had passed since his rescue from a mining accident on the edge of Saturn's rings. His wing was torn, his scales dulled, and the fire that once warmed his great chest now flickered faintly. Worse still, he had refused food since arriving. Every reading on the monitors told the same truth. The dragon was fading. Walked the halls with a growing sense of frustration. "Dragons don't simply give up," he muttered during one late-night briefing. His voice echoed against the sterile walls. "They survive, they adapt, they endure." But Dr. Marin Elwood, the lead xenobiologist, shook her head. She had spent hours outside the reinforced barrier of the dragon's chamber, watching the way Kalorn curled in on himself, his sapphire eyes empty of hope. "This one has lost more than his body can carry," Dr. Elwood said softly. "His entire clutch was destroyed in the collapse. His grief has stolen his will." Those words carried weight heavier than the steel walls around them. Without intervention, the dragon's life would soon end. And with his passing, another bridge between humans and dragons would collapse. Yet hope arrived quietly, not through machines or research, but through the footsteps she had lived her short life, surrounded by metal corridors and the endless hum of reactors. But for all the wonders of the 22nd century, Kira was lonely. She had lost her mother 2 years earlier in a shuttle accident. And though her father loved her, he was buried in the demands of his work. Kira spent her days exploring corners of the station, memorizing codes, and wandering where she should not. One evening, as Jupiter's storms swirled red and gold beyond the station's great window, Kira overheard her father speaking about the dragon who would not eat. Curiosity took root. Sadness drew her closer still. And by the next morning, while the crew attended their shifts, Kira found herself slipping through the quiet corridors toward the rehabilitation wing. She knew the codes. She always remembered things others forgot. With careful fingers, she tapped the sequence into the door's console. The lock hissed, and the heavy door slid open. The habitat inside was dim. The scientists had tried to mimic the natural caverns of Drakari homeworlds, building shadows and cool stone textures to comfort their guest. The air was sharp with ozone, carrying the strange scent of something ancient and weary. Kira stepped forward, her heart racing. In the farthest corner of the chamber, almost invisible in the shadows, lay the dragon. Kalorn was smaller than the legends had painted in her mind. He stretched perhaps 15 feet from snout to tail, his body curled tight as if he wished to vanish into himself. One wing bent awkwardly, and his scales, which should have gleamed like stars, looked dull and cracked. But it was not his injuries that struck Kira most. It was his eyes. They were blue, deeper than any ocean she had ever seen in old Earth photographs. But in those eyes rested grief so profound that it pressed on her chest like weight. Kira lowered herself to the floor, just outside the barrier. "My name's Kira." The dragon did not move. He did not growl or snarl. Only his eyes shifted slightly, flickering toward her with a trace of awareness. Kira swallowed and pulled a small packet from her pocket. It was her lunch from earlier, a simple sandwich she had saved. "I thought you might be hungry," she said, though she knew he could not hear her through the barrier. Still, she unwrapped it and set it gently in front of her, as though offering it to him. "I know how it feels," she continued, "to be alone." Her words trembled with honesty. "My mom's gone. Everyone tells me to forget, but I can't. Maybe you can't either." Her voice faded into the silence of the chamber. For a long while, nothing happened. Then, slowly, Kalorn's great head shifted. His gaze fixed more fully on the girl, his pupils narrowing as though studying her. It was the faintest movement, a gesture so small it could have been nothing at all. But Dr. Elwood, who happened to arrive at that moment, gasped aloud. "He moved," she whispered. "He responded." Unaware of the scientist watching, Kira remained cross-legged on the floor, speaking quietly, as if sharing secrets with a friend. And in that fragile moment, something stirred inside the dragon's dimming heart. Not yet trust, not yet hope, but a spark, a reminder that even beneath sorrow, life still called to him, as softly as the voice of a child beneath the stars. The days that followed Kira's first meeting with the dragon passed like whispers across the station. No one spoke of it openly, but word spread quietly. The child who had dared to sit before the silent creature had not been harmed. Instead, she had drawn his eyes, if only for a moment. For Dr. Marin Elwood, that moment was everything. She had studied the Drakari for years, and in those small movements, she saw something the data alone could not explain. Kira returned to the habitat again, though this time under closer watch. Commander Lysander Holt allowed it only after strong persuasion from Dr. Elwood. "One misstep, and the dragon could strike," he warned. But the scientist insisted. "This isn't about experiments anymore. This is about survival. He needs her presence." Reluctantly, the commander gave his consent. So, every afternoon after her lessons, Kira walked the long corridors to the habitat chamber. She carried no tools, no machines, only herself and small items she thought might comfort Kalorn. The first time, it was a folded paper drawing. She had sketched Jupiter's great red storm, swirling across the page. She held it up, pressing it to the barrier. "It looks like your eye," she told him softly. "But maybe it's less sad." The dragon's gaze lingered on the picture, and though he did not move, Kira swore his pupils widened. Another time, she brought a small device no bigger than her palm. It thundering music, but a soft folk melody from Earth. When she pressed it, the tune filled the quiet habitat, floating like a fragile thread of memory. For the first time, the dragon's chest rose with a sound. It was not speech, not a roar, but a deep vibration. Dr. Elwood leaned forward from behind the observation glass. "A rumble," she whispered. "He is responding." Day after day, Kira's visits became a ritual. She spoke not as a scientist, nor as a commander, but as a child with open honesty. She told Kalorn about her mother, about how silence had filled her life since she was gone. She told him about her father, buried in endless repairs and duties. She even shared small secrets, like how she hated the protein bars they ate on the station, or how she sometimes dreamed of Earth, though she had never been there. Kalorn listened. His body still lay heavy in the corner, but his eyes always found hers. When she spoke of loneliness, his gaze softened. When she laughed, the faint glow of his inner fire flickered brighter. Soon, subtle changes appeared. The nutrient crystals placed in his chamber, untouched for weeks, began to vanish, but only when Kira was present. Dr. Elwood recorded the times and confirmed the pattern. "He is eating," she told the staff, but only with her nearby. Commander Holt remained cautious. "This is dangerous attachment," he argued during one heated meeting. "Dragons are not pets. They are powerful, unpredictable beings. What if he turns on her?" But Dr. Elwood answered calmly, "Then why hasn't he? She has broken through where none of us could. It is not danger I see in his eyes. It is grief finding a voice." As weeks passed, Kira grew bolder. She sat closer to the barrier, cross-legged with her homework spread across the floor. "Listen to this," she said one evening, reading aloud from her lessons. "It says the Drakari sense the pull of stars the way we sense sound. Is that true?" She waited, not expecting an answer, but in the stillness, Kalorn released another low vibration, longer this time, steady like distant thunder. Kira's smile widened. "I'll take that as a yes." Her presence reshaped the dragon's world. Instead of silence, there was her voice. Instead of abandonment, there was companionship. Dr. Elwood noticed his posture shift. He no longer curled so tightly into the corner, but stretched slightly closer to the barrier each day. The breakthrough came quietly. On a dim morning, when light from Jupiter's storms filtered into the chamber, Kira sat with her small music player, humming softly with the tune. Kalorn, after weeks of stillness, lifted his head fully. His eyes met hers, not with emptiness, but with something new, curiosity. The movement startled even Kira, and for a moment, she froze. Then she whispered, "You're beautiful." In that instant, the fragile bond became undeniable. Dr. Elwood recorded it. Her subject has acknowledged child's presence with clear movement and direct gaze. This is the first act of voluntary engagement since arrival. For Kira, it felt like more than science. It felt like friendship beginning. She leaned closer, her small hand pressing gently to the invisible barrier. Kalorn lowered his great head in return, until only the faint glow of energy separated them. She whispered, "You're not alone anymore. I'll stay." Though no words passed the dragon's lips, though no grand gesture unfolded, the meaning was clear. Something inside Kalorn had shifted. Trust, fragile and unsteady, had begun to form. In the days ahead, this bond would be tested. Doubts would rise. Time moved differently on Europa Station Aurora. Days and nights blurred beneath the glow of artificial lights. But for Kira and Kalorn, the rhythm of life found new meaning. Every visit carried weight. Every word, every shared silence, strengthened the fragile connection between child and dragon. With each passing week, Kalorn's health began to shift. The dull gray in his scales slowly gave way to soft hints of blue, like the ocean glimpsed beneath storm clouds. His inner fire flickered with steadier rhythm, glowing brightest whenever Kira was near. He ate regularly now, though only if she sat across the barrier, nibbling on her own food as though sharing the meal. Kira's father, engineer Roland Nolan, could not ignore the change. He had resisted at first, worried his daughter was getting too close to something dangerous. But late one evening, his great head tilted like a listener lost in a story. In that moment, Roland understood what he had been too busy to see. His daughter had found a friend who needed her just as much as she needed him. Kira's inventiveness soon became part of Kalorn's recovery. Noticing how he struggled to swallow because of the damage to his throat, she sketched out ideas on scraps of paper and convinced her father to help build them. Together, they fashioned a support frame that allowed the dragon to angle his head more easily when feeding. It was simple, made from recycled alloys and crystalline supports, but it worked. When Kalorn tried it, he gave a soft rumble that resonated through the chamber. Kira laughed. "You sound almost happy." The bond between them grew beyond words. Kalorn began teaching in his own way. Though he did not yet speak aloud, he shared fragments of dragon knowledge through gestures and low harmonics that Dr. Marin Elwood worked tirelessly to interpret. One day, as Kira sat reading her lessons, Kalorn traced his claw slowly across the ground, marking star-like shapes. "What is it?" she asked, leaning closer. Dr. Elwood whispered, "He is showing you how he sees the stars. He feels their pull, the currents between them. It is his way of teaching." Kira smiled and touched the barrier with her hand. "Then teach me more." For the first time since the accident, Kalorn seemed more than a wounded creature. He was a guide, a mentor, and, most importantly, a friend. Yet hope often attracts challenge. One morning, Commander Lysander Holt entered the research hall with grim news. "The Drakari Council has been informed," he told the staff. "They know of Kalorn's survival, and they want him returned." The words struck the room like a hammer. Kira's face went pale. "But he's healing here. He needs me." Holt's voice remained steady, though not I risk war if we refuse. The news reached Kalorn quickly. Dragons did not need words to sense disruption. He felt the tremor in the station's energy, the unease in human voices. When Kira rushed to him, eyes bright with tears, he already knew. Lowering his great head toward her, he let out a deep, sorrowful vibration that shook the walls. "Why didn't you tell me?" Kira whispered through the barrier. His eyes, blue and endless, spoke the truth her heart already knew. He had felt it coming, but he had wanted to spare her the pain. In the following days, the station buzzed with debate. Dr. Elwood argued that separating dragon and child would undo all progress. Kira's father, torn between duty and love, wanted to protect his daughter, but could not deny the truth of what she had built. Holt, bound by regulations, insisted his hands were tied. Through it all, Kira refused to give up. She continued to visit Kalorn, her voice breaking as she told him stories of Earth's foe, oceans and skies. "If you leave, who will listen?" she asked one evening, pressing her forehead against the barrier. "Who will understand that you're more than broken?" Kalorn shifted closer, the glow of his fire warming again. And then, for the first time, his voice broke the silence. It was low and rough, like stone against stone, but clear enough to reach her ears. "You listen," he said. Kira gasped, tears sliding down her face. "You can speak?" "Always could," Kalorn answered, each word heavy with effort. "No reason to, until you." The moment was recorded by astonished scientists, but for Kira, It was not about history or research. It was about truth. The dragon trusted her enough to speak. He had chosen her voice as the one worth answering. The revelation shook the station. Some saw it as a miracle, proof of new understanding between humans and dragons. Others, including Commander Holt, saw it as added danger. Then he must return to his people even sooner. This is beyond our right to interfere. But Kira held her ground, her small figure standing firm in the halls of the station. He is not just theirs, he is my friend, and friends don't give up on each other. For Kalorn, the words carried deeper meaning than she realized. In his culture, friendship was sacred, reserved for those one trusted with life itself. By calling him friend, Kira had given him a place no wound could erase. And though shadows of separation loomed, the dragon's fire burned brighter. In the echoes of loss, he found strength. In Kira's hope, he discovered reason to rise. It was no longer a story of survival alone. It had become a story of healing, of how two souls from different worlds had found each other in sorrow, and in that meeting had begun to change the course of both species. The day the Drakari emissaries arrived at Europa Station Aurora, the air itself seemed to grow heavy. The docking bay filled with tension as humans lined the edges, waiting for the great ship to release its passengers. The vessel was unlike any human craft, its surface flowing like liquid metal, its structure alive with faint harmonics that made the teeth of onlookers hum. From its core, 3 dragons emerged. Their scales glowed with deep shades of emerald and amber, their wings folding like living banners. They were taller and stronger than Kalorn, their movements full of authority. The leader, a dragon named Silvara, stepped forward. Her voice, when it came, was layered with tones that vibrated across the chamber. "The wounded one belongs to us," she declared. "He must return to his kind. His healing cannot be left to humans." Commander Lysander Holt bowed stiffly, torn between he answered carefully. "But the child's bond with him has proven unique." His words trailed, uncertain in the face of the emissary's commanding gaze. Kira stood near the front, her small frame dwarfed by both humans and dragons. Her voice broke the silence. "He's not just a specimen," she cried. "He's not just broken. He's my friend." The crowd stirred. Silvara tilted her massive head, studying the child. "A friend?" she repeated, her voice curious rather than harsh. "Do you understand what you say, human child? Among our kind, friendship is sacred. It means trust of life and spirit. No dragon takes it lightly." "Then I understand perfectly," Kira said, her eyes bright with tears but steady. "Because he trusted me when no one else would." The bay fell into stillness. Every heartbeat seemed to wait for Kelleron's answer. And at last, from within the observation chamber, he appeared, though his wings still hung injured and his scales bore scars. His eyes glowed with fierce clarity. Each step he took toward the emissaries rang with purpose. "I choose," Kalorn said, his voice rough but strong. He looked at the emissaries, then at Kira. "I choose both." Gasps echoed across the room. Silvara's scales shimmered in surprise. "Explain yourself." Kalorn's chest swelled, his fire glowing brighter. "I am dragon, and this will not change. But I am also friend to Kira Nolan. This will not change either. I will not abandon my kind, nor will I abandon the one who gave me hope." The emissaries conferred in low harmonics that rattled the walls. The humans shifted nervously, waiting for judgment. Finally, Silvara raised her head. "If this is your choice, then negotiations must be made. We cannot ignore tradition, but neither can we deny what has been witnessed." The days that followed were filled with long debates. Scientists, officers, and Drakari elders argued over laws and treaties. Kira was kept away from most of it, but she refused to lose hope. Every evening, she sat with Kalorn, pressing her hand to the barrier, whispering promises. "They can't take you away. We'll find a way." When the final agreement came, it was unlike anything either side had known before. Kalorn would not return to his homeworld, nor would he remain only under human authority. Instead, he would serve as the first official cultural bridge between humans and dragons. He would live on Aurora Station with full diplomatic rights, teaching his knowledge while learning humanity's ways. And by his side, Kira would remain as his companion, the one who had sparked his recovery. The announcement was met with cheers across the station. For the first time in history, a dragon and a child had forced two species to build something new together. In the months that followed, life changed for both of them. Kalorn was given proper quarters near the Nolan family, with open spaces and specially designed supports to help his healing. Kira continued her studies, but now with a new teacher, a dragon who taught her how to feel the pull of stars, how to listen to the silent music of space. Dr. Marin Elwood documented their lessons, calling it the most valuable research ever recorded. But for Kira, it was not research. It was friendship, pure and enduring. On her 18th birthday, years after their first meeting, Kalorn offered her a gift. From the center of his chest, just above his primary heart, he released a single shimmering scale. He placed it gently into her hands. "Among my kind," he said, "this means family. It will warm when I think of you." Tears welled in Kira's eyes as she fastened it to a chain around her neck. "Then I'll never forget." Together, they stood at the wide viewport of Aurora Station, watching Jupiter's storms twist like ancient eyes across the gas giant. Silence filled the room, but it was a silence full of meaning, not emptiness. "Do you regret staying?" Kira asked softly. Kalorn lowered his head, his great tail curling protectively around her. "Regret belongs to those who never choose. I chose both worlds. I chose hope, and I would choose it again." Kira leaned against his scales, warm and steady beneath her. "Then so would I." Outside, the stars burned bright, singing songs only dragons could hear. But within that chamber, another kind of song was born. The song of friendship, of two lives intertwined, proving that healing is not about returning to what was lost, but about building something new. And as long as the child and the dragon remained together, the universe itself seemed a little less cold, a little more full of hope.